When we started this project, one of the things that we wanted to ensure is that we wanted to build an escape room, obviously, but then once we build the escape room, there's always kind of like the so what. So I think this sort of led us to that we're in academia, and every year we always have courses and students that are coming through, and I think what we really want to try and do was then sort of bridge that gap into the classroom and then so when you come into the escape room you can play a puzzle, but then there's also learning materials for how to build that puzzle, and then hopefully as we sort of keep growing it, that people could then design and make their own puzzles, right? So I think it sort of started there, right? And then that.
Absolutely, and I think like with my students in theater production, they just want to get dirty and build things. And there was a point where I was kind of trying to figure out what things the students should build, because usually we do shows, but we also do installations. And like Sean and I had a conversation pre-pandemic where we were like, escape rooms, should we build one? And my faculty got totally excited, and then it became a larger conversation about how do we integrate it into the rest of the curriculum proper. But a lot of the time, like with my students, they build something, especially with shows, you build it, you do the show ends, and it gets tossed in a dumpster. And so this was like a marvelous way of kind of taking something the students have built and kind of having some kind of level of longevity to it, and then also being able to see the interconnectivity of stuff that they don't know how to do in something that's kind of built with wood and paint and props. Yeah.
For me, yeah, I mean, for the theater folks who build sets, the puzzle of building a set where the audience has to be in the set, has to be an audience-proof set, yeah. I thought was an interesting challenge.
I would say like every single person in my program has had their hands on the physical building of the escape room. I've tried to we've integrated into our building course where we're building a show, and so there's 70 students that have had their hand either in the actual physical building of the actual room itself with carpentry, or they've built props for it. So they've built weird aliens and things that kind of link to the actual space. Other students have built dummy panels that kind of mirror the real puzzles and kind of make the room a little more fulsome. Our lighting students kind of have created the lighting for the room. They've learned how to do LED lighting within the context of the piece. Our sound students have kind of created all the sound that you'll hear in the experience itself, and our video students have created the kind of immersive video as you're in the actual space. So, and with that, there's like around 9 or 10 faculty that are also kind of interconnected. So for my program, there's about 4 courses that are directly connected, and then the full student body of both first and second year are fully involved in the creation of the piece. That's why we're pushing to get it done before they graduate.
In the digital realm, what's so exciting about working with the theater folks is that they've been mastering interdisciplinary collaboration literally for millennia. So what was fun for us is in the collaboration is discovering those gaps, or I didn't know what this was, and what's that word you keep using, what does that mean? So discovering that language together and building those bridges together. So it's been a fun. We're richer, I would say. I'm richer as a faculty member for this collaboration.
When I think of our props students, like with Rob coming in and doing, like you did a whole module with them on Arduino, and that's something that we've wanted to integrate into our program forever, just like 3D printing and all of that. That is very much in the world now when students go out, but it's really hard in a 2-year program to kind of fit that level of expertise into the teaching staff while also kind of teaching them just how to use a hammer and how to use so it's great to kind of have that connection between other faculty and other programs to kind of connect with the students.
I still like learning, right? I think that's one of the reasons why I'm here. And I even, when we were making these puzzles, sometimes we came up with a whole bunch of different ideas, and some of them we knew exactly how to do, right? It's like, hey, I know how to do this. And there's others who's like, I don't know how to do that. But I think that's what we wanted to learn, and then hopefully pass on some of that materials to students, and Humber the Humber people at large. And then even started off, we kind of made our own assistant. So we were on a spaceship, and we decided, well, we could take, what if we made our own Alexa, right? And we call it the Oracle. And essentially, this is a way it's sort of been allowed us to go and learn, when you start talking to like a smart assistant in your house, what are all the different little things that are going on there and all the little pieces that need to be figured out. And it's been a really interesting experience to go through that, to go and make something that still is, we're still in development right now, but it really starts to touch on things like artificial intelligence and how does it come into the world, and you really do start to see how these things are done. Using
artificial intelligence to throughout the project, what's great about it is it can remove a lot of the technical barriers to, you can have an idea, and then you've got this helper that can help you with parts and pieces of it. It doesn't, the technology isn't the barrier that it was 5 years ago even. So that's what my takeaway from the project's been is using it as a helper, not to necessarily do the work for you, but to get you started and getting your idea to come to life.
I have like a vast range of students in the program, but yet they all have some kind of personal connection to the actual escape room itself. And like, I have, students that maybe their dexterity isn't great, but they have amazing ideas of what types of puzzles they wanted to build. So they explained their ideas, and then the student that was like really handy kind of came in and kind of built it. And I've seen the same thing happening in our carpentry class as well. It's like the prop students are going into the carpentry shop going, I need this to do this. And then they're sitting there and going, oh my God, like, okay, I know how to fix this to make it happen. But it's been a learning thing for our students too, to also, in what they're building, to kind of take accessibility into, making sure corners aren't excessively sharp, the height of the puzzles in the room, working in awareness to like the excessive lighting in the room. Like, they've had to kind of take that all into account in every kind of department as well. And it's still being worked on and will likely continue to be worked on.
If you can bring your expertise and your superpowers into the project, that's really what we're always looking for, right? Is how do we sort of make it better and better and better? So.
No, absolutely. It was so hard. Like, I have to say, huge thank you to you, Rob, for coming in and like working with the students. And like, one of our students in props is kind of like, he's on a mission. Like, he has built so many W panels, and then at one point, because Rob had come in and had taught them kind of basic Arduino, he started making all the puzzles interconnective, which is what we hope the escape room will actually do for other programs in the end. But like, my students were already trying to get there. Like, they were already trying to run before they were even able to walk. And so I had to kind of pull them back and go, you know what? Next year's first years, that'll be second year, they'll take that on, because Rob will have the teaching and learning materials to actually activate the puzzles.
And I would also say, as a faculty coming into a classroom where everybody wanted to be there and they wanted to learn the materials, right? That's not always the case. Spoiler alert. So it was, that's one of the things, like, you had student buy-in, so it was so much easier to, when you were presenting concepts and ideas to them, it was a lot of like back and forth. And like, well, they're always like, well, could I do this, this, and this? And it was great, right? Because they really just, it was sort of a really good thought starter, I think.
Yeah,
right.
And I think like one note that I got from one of my faculty members, like even just a couple days ago, like, we always struggle because the students are building something and they need something to know that, like, a deadline. They care so much about the item that they're building that they live in their basement, kind of making it better and better and better. We played the escape room with another group that we didn't know at all, but yet we somehow came up with this language of like knowing what each other were doing and working alongside and then with each other to kind of solve everything. So it didn't matter that we were two different groups of people. It was still an enjoyable experience, and we managed to solve things together. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of curious about that happening too, like different programs coming in and trying to solve it together.
Yeah, and I think that lends into how we're going to use this, right? Because there's so many different opportunities that we're exploring. And I think that's some of the things that we're really trying to identify now, is which avenue do we go and look at, right? So
yeah, I would speak to people from interior design and engineering, I think, as well, and creative writing, about the challenge of writing a non-linear narrative that would be the escape room. So Yeah, looking for other people, other kids to play with.